We're talking about service learning in a course called Social Media for Public Relations. In partnering with the Department of Transportation, UNCP students can have a real effect on the road fatality percentage in Robeson County. It's campus to community. It's Campus to Community. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Hannah Baggott-Anderson, Lecturer of English and Literacy Commons Faculty Fellow here at UNCP. With me today to talk about public relations and service learning is Assistant Professor Emilia Bach in Mass Communication and her student Tyler Garcia, Senior Public Relations Major at UNCP. Thanks for joining me today, Emilia and Tyler.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Great. To start off, could you contextualize the discipline of public relations as a whole under mass communication?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because when you asked me to appear on the show, I was like, I'm gonna have to explain what public relations is. There's a lot of kind of a misunderstanding that it's basically advertising. But public relations, a great definition that's kind of at the core of what we do is doing good and getting credit for it. So in PR, we're making sure our organizations are, doing good work, being, good members of the community, and we're just making sure our publics know about that. So we're kind of the liaison between an organization and its publics, and making sure that the two have a good relationship.
That's a great definition. I love that. Tyler, would you say you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I know that when I first came in, I really didn't really know what I was getting into, I guess. But after having her intro class, I was like, okay, I definitely, I think this is like one of the coolest things to do. I didn't know the school offered that, so it was pretty cool.
That's so great. I love hearing that as the start. But you're here today to tell us specifically a little bit about a project that you do in one of your courses. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is a new course for us. It's Public Relations and Social Media, or I think it's actually Social Media for Public Relations is the name of the course. It's new, like I said. And it debuted in the spring, and basically it's to really kind of get the students hands-on experience with social media, which is a growing huge part of public relations now. It's a main way organizations are communicating, with us out here in the public is through social media. To get them hands-on experience with that, to get them to understand the place of social media in an organization's campaigns in their strategy for communicating with their publics. And so an opportunity came up during the course to partner with the Department of Transportation. They reached out to us actually because they were doing a more broad campaign here in Robeson County. Apparently, I didn't know this until they reached out, that we have, it's the deadliest county for traffic deaths in the state based on the population. So it's the deadliest. Right. That sounds really bad, but it is. And they reached out to us because they want to launch campaigns here to try to bring down those traffic deaths. And they wanted help with the social media part of their campaign because that's not their strength. They do fine with more traditional approaches to campaigns and, getting the public, to be aware of certain things like wearing their seatbelts. But social media, this new tool that we have, and for reaching younger people, they weren't really sure, how best to wield that, and so they came to us, and of course the students were excited to help them.
Yeah, because it's a real world thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd ask too, and maybe both of you can answer this question, I know what you're talking about when you say campaign and social media, but some of our viewers might not know what that language is specifically pointing toward. So could you define, if you can, campaign and what platforms you're meaning when you say social media?
Yeah, so for the social media part, I mean, anything from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter. Snapchat, right, is a big one. Any of those mediums that we create the content, and I mean by regular people. With traditional media like television, you have to go through, gatekeepers and studios. Whereas if I want to create a show and I've got my friends together and I want to post it on YouTube, I can do that. So it's a more, the public are also the creators. The users are also the creators.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And then campaigns, when we're looking widely at a campaign, what does that include?
So just the example I'll use from the project.
Yes.
So a campaign is basically you have something that you want to achieve, whether it's getting more people to wear their seatbelts. Kind of a famous one that the students really wanted to move away from and create their own thing is the campaign of click it or ticket. So that campaign is, everything from planning, how are you going to get that message out? How are you going to get people to change their behavior and start, wearing their seatbelts? How are you going to let them know what the consequences are if they don't? It's that really like beginning from planning to, whether it's having events or, having billboards or social media posts and stuff like that to, hopefully behavior change at the end.
Yeah. Tyler, did you have anything to add to that?
It's just with that, it was just making sure that we knew as a class, we thought that the click it or ticket was kind of outdated, and we knew that it was something that we've all heard from like elementary school to like middle school to high school, and the fact that it's 2018 and it's still, Robeson County is still the deadliest, we knew something had to change, and we thought it was the message, and the easiest way to, we felt to change the message and stuff was through social media and through like our generation, because it's our generation who's like prominently on the different platforms and stuff like that. So if we could create a message that's more generated towards the people who use those platforms via Instagram, and there's that target audience, and Facebook, something that can be shared upon multiple platforms, will be most effective in maybe changing it into a fresher kind of saying, and something that may actually click it.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
I think we have some examples that we can look at that you all brought in today from that particular assignment. We'll pull some of those up and take a look, and you can help me describe them to our viewers today. What do we see here?
Well, and so Hannah, I divided the class basically into 3 teams. When the DOT came to our class to meet us, they said, there were certain areas that needed work. So one was seatbelt use. It's a big problem here. Another was speeding. And then the other one was driving under the influence. And so the class was divided into 3 different, to tackle those 3 different segments. And so they each had to create their own hashtag. They had to create different graphics, do basically a different mini campaign focused on either seatbelts or drinking and driving. So the ones that you're seeing now was the one for drinking and driving. The idea, you would take a pledge to be a hero for 0. The idea is that they want to reach 0 as the number of traffic fatalities. And so this was one of the groups. The hashtags actually were competitive. Hero for 0 was the winning hashtag that the DOT decided to use for their campaign.
Oh, wow, okay.
So yeah, one of the groups created that.
Great.
But yeah, you can see each group did their own thing. So the Snapchat filter, no need for speed, was from the group that dealt with speeding. I guess they're hoping that you would use it when you're not driving.
That's the goal.
This is from Tyler's group, actually, Elf on the Belt. They had seat belts, and they went with the idea. Well, Tyler, I can let you talk about the Elf on the Shelf kind of idea.
Okay, so the idea behind this was we knew that with social media, things can go viral really quickly.
Right.
And during the holidays, the Elf on a Shelf was something that I feel like can be seen across any platform. Or thinking, how can we create something that people can engage with and be interactive with, but also use social media to get the word out of wearing your seatbelt in a kind of a cool, non-traditional kind of way.
Yeah.
So we were like, what rhymes with Elf on a Shelf? And then we're like, seatbelt, Elf on a Belt. So we had this like really cool idea to come up with some kind of like elf, either like in like the elf costume, or the costume could change depending on like the season. It could be like a Halloween, or it could be a police officer, but something you can put on your seatbelt that was like looking down over at you. And of course you take the picture when you're not driving.
Right.
But like it would, we were thinking that maybe that like our high schoolers and stuff like that would like maybe want to go out and get this elf and attach it to their seatbelt and like take a selfie. Look, I'm wearing my seatbelt. And at the same time, it's kind of like it's kind of cute and funny, but it's sending the message to people to wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, with real positive consequences.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And you had billboards for this too, traditional ones?
So I haven't seen any billboards yet, but
Okay.
they were asked to design them as part of the project.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was real.
No, they did a really good job with the
Yeah.
graphics though. And also just another thing on the elf on the elf on the belt. It was a great learning opportunity too to talk about things like copyright. So, you know, we're like, we're a class, so we're using this for education. So it's fine if you guys say you want to do elf on the belt or whatever, but that is a trademarked figure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it, you know, opens that like teaching moment for you to say, if you really were going to do this, you would have to get permission or create your own, you know, sort of thing.
Right.
But I understood too why they wanted to do the elf as something that's already known, and that goes viral at Christmas. You know, different places to hide it. And their group also did a storyboard for an advertisement they could run too, kind of a funny PSA where Tyler actually played the elf.
Oh, wow.
As someone who like, you know, jumps out to remind you to put your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And the DOT really loved that as well.
Oh, that's so exciting. What did that look like, the particular advertisement, Tyler?
So we, it was me and the group. We kind of like switched places to make different scenes and stuff. But we made it out to be where it's like the two girls were like walking to the car, and I was hiding in the back seat the whole time.
Oh my gosh!
Like I legit had a hat on, and I had like a spray bottle because we thought it would be so funny that like someone shot from the outside and you could see them walking inside of the car, and the one girl gets in and she immediately goes to put on the radio and they're just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden she starts to back out and she didn't put her seatbelt on, and you see my head pop out the corner, and I was like, okay. And then I came back, and then I ended up like spraying her with the bottle of water, and
Oh
I
my
was like, "Put your seatbelt on." It was I forgot what I said, but it was something super funny, and it was kind of like you saw me peeking around the corner, like, "Is she going to wear it? Is she going to wear it?"
A real life elf in
Literally.
that situation.
Yeah.
Well,
And it was
that's so
really
much.
creative. What was great about this too is, while I don't know if the DOT will pick that up and use that for their ad, what they took away from that is humor is a great way to reach this
People.
demographic.
Yeah.
And people in general too.
I feel like most times they try to use like really, really sad kind of commercials and kind of like they hit you with like the graveyard and that kind of scene. And like, but it's true though, and I feel like it's not always effective because people like they know the message, so they may not pay attention to it because they don't want to be sad right now. It's like they had a great day, I don't want to watch this. But I feel like if you used humor, it'd be an easier way to like get the message across in a more positive way, but also still having the like core message of like wearing your seatbelt, don't drive under the influence. And
It's
like
like we're aware of the consequences, but getting it to stick with us in a different way at this moment, particularly with millennials, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Is that the audience that you all were thinking about in the context of this?
Yes. So high schoolers too, which I think they're too young to be millennials now.
The next generation.
Yeah, the next generation. They were, you know, the DOT was particularly interested in how do we reach them. You know, we know that, you know, somebody who's 99 and has never been wearing their seatbelt, we might not be able to convince them. But somebody who's just starting their kind of driving career, there's a better chance that we can get them to change their behavior because we have longer to do it.
Right.
The final thing too about the ELF group, which I thought was really, you know, good on their part, is it was a way to get kids involved.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have this little character that's on your seatbelt and you have your kid in the back seat and you don't put your seatbelt on, they're more likely to be like, oh, Mom, you know, the elf, or, you know, the elf's going to get you kind of thing. So it brought in the whole family kind of.
That so at least you have guilt from your children
Exactly.
if the elf isn't going to give you
Exactly.
guilt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. I'll ask too to just shift kind of from these real world effects that you're having in the community in Robeson County back to the idea of school, right? Because we are all about education here at UNCP. What kind of learning outcomes, Dr. Bach, did you see happening from this? Or even Tyler, if you saw something at work that you could take from this project and apply to a future career?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So prior to this class, we had done a lot of textbook reading, and we had talked all about these concepts and like what other people do. But I think what the cool part was getting able to like real life application of it, because we've talked about in multiple classes of like what businesses do, what corporations do, and tactics and stuff. But actually being like pinned to like, this is your task. You are doing this. You are to create this. It was really cool because it wasn't it was a pre-made example of a textbook. It was a real life. Okay, like me and my group, like how can we like make an impact? And I think we kind of took that to heart. It wasn't kind of like a regular project that we just did just to do. It was, we knew that we had the potential to impact like many people. So we took it really seriously. And we sat there and like, we had like a whole bunch of like notes and stuff like, we like this. But then someone's like, well, that won't work because of this. So I was like, okay. And then we went through a whole bunch of ideas and stuff, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome to see that at work, because we are always thinking about ways to, you know, make our classes matter, right? Yeah. Did you see that, especially, Emilia, in this course compared to some of your other courses?
Well, I do service learning. I try to do something hands-on in most of my courses. This one was a little more high stakes because we weren't using like student health services or something on campus.
Yeah, or in-house, if you will.
Yeah, in-house. Yeah, exactly. I think too, though, this does sound like it kind of is going against maybe the idea of a social media class. But one thing I wanted to show with the class is that even though today it's so easy to be like, oh, we need a social media campaign, oh, we got to do a post, that social media is just a part of a public relations strategy. It can't do everything. And so while the campaign they were working on was toward, you know, some of the younger audience, at the same time, you know, the DOT is also having to, you know, make brochures and kind of traditional you know, more print things, do commercials that are going to go on broadcast TV, do kind of face-to-face public relations. And so I wanted to see, you know, the students recognize that social media is not the whole piece too, even though it's a really important one.
Right, right. That's interesting to know about, because I mean, I don't fully think through the idea of like anything beyond social media now, even in the work that I do, just because we're like so focused on college students. So everything is done. Like I don't have a Snapchat personally, but everything's done through Snapchat. I feel. Do you agree?
You got to get on there.
Yeah, I gotta get on there. Oh my gosh. So to think now, heading forward. So Tyler, you're about to graduate, right?
Yeah.
What are your goals moving forward, like with your PR degree?
With my PR degree, it's when looking for jobs, it can get kind of scary because I feel like right now with social media and how it's growing every day, I feel like it's more jobs are opening up, but I feel like it's extremely competitive.
Right.
So like that's a really hard question because I know that I want to work with social media and content creation because I love creating content and getting to just be creative. That's just ultimately like what I like to do, and I found that in PR it's been the easiest way for me to kind of be creative as an outlet. So I just want to I would ultimately like to work and either for a nonprofit or something and run like their social media accounts and do their press releases and do all that good stuff. So
that brings up something interesting that I would love to talk to both of you about, which is the difference in the PR work that one would do for a nonprofit organization or for, you know, like a government organization where you're just getting specific word out or fundraising versus like corporate PR. I know that's kind of bringing in a little bit of schooling, but I'm super interested in that difference if there is one.
So at its core, what you're trying to achieve, you know, a good relationship with your public is not going to be that different. I think the life of the PR practitioner who works for a nonprofit, it's going to be different because you don't always have as many resources. You're going to have to wear like a lot of different hats, particularly like fundraising, which you're not going to have to do if you are in public relations for Target, for instance.
Right.
They have all my money. They have all your money.
Yes.
You know, they don't need to raise funds necessarily. And, you know, actually nonprofits, most of their money comes from individual donations from like me, you over here giving $20 or something. It's not from actually big corporate gifts. So I think, again, while at its core, they're not that different, you're going to have to do different roles that you might not have to do in a corporate kind of job.
So what attracts you then, Tyler, to working specifically in the nonprofit sector?
Well, when I got here, Dr. Buck was my advisor, so like I spent a lot of my time like talking to her about like what her past work was before she began teaching, and listening to her talk about. She said she worked at a boutique, and then she went and showed me how like this Instagram that she made, and she talked to me about how like when they first had it, it was kind of rocky, but then she kind of took it and she knew she had a vision and what she wanted to see, like aesthetically wise and stuff like that. And that's kind of like what I want to do, because she's like, it wasn't something super big, so and not that it was not like high pressure, but it was something that was local, that was like, that meant that it was, it was just close to people. It wasn't like it was like a Walmart or Target. It was something that was like everyday people could use, and she was able to have a big impact through that.
Right.
So listening to her talk about, like, I asked her, like, so what did you do? And she was like, well, I went to work and I was able to like take pictures of the clothes, and I would make like, she'd like draw on a chalkboard, and I don't know, it was just stuff like that. I want to be able to be in contact with people. I don't want to be behind a desk and not get to interact with people. I want to be able to be like in the field, if you were to say.
Yeah, and that like local creativity,
for
personal. Sure. You drew on a chalkboard in a previous life.
Yeah, that was one of my glamorous duties. So while my job was not for a nonprofit, it was for a small business that gave back to the community a lot.
Oh, great.
So definitely there was that piece that almost felt that way with our charity initiatives and stuff that we did. But that small business feel too, you get to wear a lot of the different hats. You know, you're doing all kinds of duties that, you know, in a corporation with lots of resources where people have very distinct jobs, you know, I wouldn't have had that experience. So
I like hearing pre-professorial life stories, so it's always interesting to me. So I know, Dr. Bach, that you teach other service learning style courses, so I want to definitely ask you about those, and I also want to ask Tyler about what other service learning courses he's taken in the PR field.
I'll let Tyler go first because he's in a service learning class right now. And I think that will end up being shorter because I'm like, I'll tell you about all of them.
Great.
Okay, right now I'm in a campaigns class, and it's a pretty small class. There's only 8 of us, but we're tasked to advertise and campaign for a haunted house in Scotland County right now.
Okay.
And it was the really cool part is that because like everyone in the class, we all have our individual strengths. So the way we like set up like a plan of attack for this campaign was like who's really good at like creating like volunteer spreadsheets and doing emails and stuff like that. Who's good at like videography and photography? Who's good at editing it? And who's good at like writing captions? So we all separate into different little groups, and we meet twice a week, and like my specialty is content creation. So like we have a couple of people in our group who are really good at photography, and they go out and we meet with the client and at the haunted house location, and they take pictures of like they all got dressed up and did makeup and all that. And they emailed me the pictures, and I went and edited them all, and I put captions on them and like made like countdowns and really cool stuff. I was like, this needs to go on Facebook on this time, on this day, with this caption, with this hashtag, because it's going to reach this audience. So it's been really cool. I've gotten to real life experience of interacting with the clients, and being able to work through that and the challenges that come with that. And been able to work with other people because like throughout college I had a whole lot of group projects, but it's much different when you're dealing with like a real life client that like depends on you.
Yeah,
so
it's not just the grade, it's
no,
outside,
for sure.
That. Perfect. And you've got some stuff to tell us about other service learning you do in your PR courses?
Yeah, so this semester, one of my other courses is partnering with an in-house department with Student Health Services. We are helping them get the word out, raise awareness, get people to sign up for their blood drive, which is really important actually because of Hurricane Florence. Their September blood drive was canceled.
Oh, wow.
And anytime there's a disaster like that, there's more need for donations. So November 20th, it's a Tuesday, mark your calendars. It's going to be here in the UC, but my class is producing, flyers, different handouts. They're doing a PR plan. They'll be doing tabling. Just getting the word out and getting people to sign up, especially using their online sign up because it makes the process a lot faster so we can get more people in there donating, get them out quicker. And so that's their kind of, big project is to help out with that. And if they donate, they get extra credit.
Ooh, I love that. We all do, huh? That's awesome. I'll ask as we start to have to wrap up our conversation, unfortunately. One of my questions, I think on behalf of potential students that might be interested in public relations, might be, what's the point of majoring in PR, right? If I know how to use Snapchat super well and Instagram super well and can maybe even make a brochure on a Word document, what would be your argument to get people to major in PR?
Okay, I'll go. Do you have something?
Okay, well.
I felt you over there once.
Okay. The argument, I guess. Well, I feel like when we talk about it, it sounds like I go to class and we Instagram the whole time, and that's not like the case at all.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole lot more to it, like with like press releases and doing like SWOT analysis. Like there's a whole lot of things that go with it other than social media. But if you were to get people to want to pursue that, I feel like it's a really good way to segue people into the majors with social media.
So you can hook them with the social media, but then you show them the wider context.
Because it's definitely a prominent part of the degree, but it's not everything.
Right.
Because when I tell my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm doing PR. She's like, what is that? And I kind of explained it to her. She's like, so you're getting social media? And I'm like, no, that's a part of it. It's my favorite part of it. But there's a whole lot more to it.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can Instagram all day, but you've got to have strategy behind it.
Absolutely.
And that is, again, like Tyler says, you can hook people with social media. It's like, oh, you can go look at jobs and they sound super fun. Like you're going to plan social media and take posts and take pictures, post posts and take pictures and do that kind of stuff all day. But you also have to have training in the theories, what's the best way to communicate. You have to understand how to plan and, have a strategy, because being able to have a great Instagram following just for yourself is not the same as having it for an organization.
Yeah. What's that difference? That's a whole class, right? Is asking you to tell us the difference between personal and organizational Instagrams. But one example?
Well, definitely don't put your bikini posts on. Sorry. Well, the thing is, with an organization's Instagram, you're not just trying to reach your friends and family, right? You're trying to reach an audience that is going to be made up with, different demographics, different psychographics. If you want to know what those things are, take Intro to Public Relations or Intro to Mass Communication. But you have to be able to reach a whole, public that's made up of different publics and have posts that are useful to them and informative for them, and you can build a relationship with them.
It's the engagement for sure. Like on your personal account, when you post a picture of your morning coffee, you're not trying to have people engage with you and comment on it. But if you're a business, you're trying to gain the engagement. You're trying to post stuff that's going to make people want to interact with you.
And on that note, perfect. Thank you both for coming to speak with us today about this. Emilia and Tyler, Dr. Bach and Tyler Garcia being with us today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us here on Campus to Community. We'll continue to talk to service learning faculty and students this semester. I'm Hannah Baggott-Anderson. See you next time.